Snow slammed against the windows as a woman's voice cut through the wind. "Please, they'll freeze out there," the motel owner scoffed. "You think those bikers deserve a warm bed? Not in my town." Outside, 25 men in leather jackets stood shivering beside their broken-down bikes, mud-streaked, exhausted, and desperate. But she didn't turn them away. Not tonight, not when no one else would. What she didn't know was that by morning, her small act of kindness would bring 2,500 roaring Hell's Angels to her doorstep, ready to change her life forever. Have you ever helped someone everyone else refused to? Tell us in the comments. Before we begin, hit subscribe. It's appreciated. It was supposed to be just another cold night in Jackson, Wyoming. The kind of night where the world goes silent under heavy snow and every window glows with the faint warmth of family. For Tanya Miller, a single mom raising her 10-year-old son, Malik, life was already a quiet struggle. Between 2 part-time jobs, broken heating, and bills stacked like unpaid promises, she had learned to survive the cold in more ways than one. She ran a tiny roadside motel, 6 rooms, 2 working heaters, and barely enough guests to cover rent. Most nights it was empty. Locals didn't stop there. They passed her by, whispering about the black woman who bought the old Carter Motel, as if that alone was some kind of rebellion. Tanya didn't care. She just wanted to build something steady, something Malik could be proud of. But that night, the storm was brutal, the kind that buried cars and cut power for miles. Around midnight, the rumble of motorcycles broke the silence, distant at first, then closer, until headlights flickered across the snow. 25 bikers, drenched and shaking, stumbled into her parking lot. Faces hard from the road, eyes pleading for warmth. Most people would have locked their doors. The news always made men like them look dangerous. Tattoos, leather, and rumors of violence. And in a small, mostly white town, they'd find no kindness. But Tanya looked at them and saw something else. People stranded, cold, and human. She didn't ask who they were. She didn't ask why they were out there. She just opened her doors, and as she handed out blankets and hot cocoa from her own kitchen, she didn't realize her name, the name of a woman who refused. To turn her back would spread faster than the storm itself. What would you have done if 25 freezing bikers knocked on your door in the middle of the night? The storm raged through the night, howling against the thin motel walls as Tanya scrambled to make space for everyone. She moved cots into the hallway, stacked blankets, even gave up her own room for a group of older bikers whose hands were too cold to unbuckle their jackets. Malik stayed close, watching her work, wide-eyed, curious, a little afraid. She moved with quiet determination, her small frame darting between rooms, lighting candles when the power cut out. The bikers, rough and road-worn, were awkward in their gratitude. Some muttered soft thank yous. Others simply stared, stunned that a stranger, a black woman they'd just met, was helping them without hesitation. When morning came, the storm had buried the town. The road was impassable. Tanya brewed coffee for everyone in an old dented pot, smiling despite her exhaustion. She had no idea that across town people were talking. The sheriff had driven past the motel the night before, seen the bikes lined up like an army of outsiders. By sunrise, the whispers had turned to warnings. Those people are trouble. She's harboring them. She's bringing danger here. By noon, police cars had parked across the road, engines idling as officers watched the motel. Tanya saw them through the window, arms crossed, hands resting on holsters. Her stomach sank. Inside, one of the bikers, a tall man with a scar down his cheek, approached her quietly. "Ma'am," he said, voice low, "we didn't mean to cause no trouble. Our chapter was on a charity ride for a kid's hospital." "Storm caught us off guard," she nodded, heart pounding. "You're safe here," she whispered. Don't worry about them. But worry she did. The stairs, the cameras, the sheriff's SUV pulling up closer every hour. The townsfolk started driving by slowly, pointing. Some even filmed her with their phones. That night, just when she thought it couldn't get worse, a rock shattered her front window. A note was tied to it. "Get them out or we will," Malik screamed. Tanya pulled him close, glass crunching under her shoes as she looked outside, but whoever did it was gone. The bikers stepped out one by one, silent, furious, ready to defend her. Yet Tanya knew what would happen if they fought back. The town would twist the story like always. She begged them to stay calm. "We'll get through this," she said, her voice trembling but steady. And as she spoke, one of the bikers' phones buzzed. A message, then another, then dozens. Across the country, word was spreading. A woman in Wyoming had sheltered 25 stranded bikers from the storm, even as her town turned against her. Photos, videos, posts. The story was viral by dawn, and when the snow finally stopped, a sound broke the morning silence. Deep, rolling thunder from miles away. Not from the sky, but from engines. Hundreds of them. Something was coming. The ground began to tremble before she saw them. A low, rumbling growl that rolled across the frozen highway. Louder, closer, unstoppable. Tanya stepped outside, the cold biting her face, Malik gripping her hand tight. Over the horizon, a black wave of headlights stretched for miles. It wasn't a mob. It was a brotherhood. More than 1,500 bikers. Leather vests, roaring engines, chrome glinting under the morning sun. The Hells Angels. They weren't here for trouble. They were here for her. Word had reached their national chapter overnight. A woman, a single black mom in Wyoming, had given refuge to their stranded brothers when no one else would. And when they heard the town had turned on her, they came riding. Every last one of them. The townspeople gathered at the edge of the road, eyes wide with disbelief. Some looked afraid, others ashamed. The sheriff's deputies froze, hands twitching near their belts, unsure what to do. The roar of motorcycles filled the air like thunder made of steel. The lead biker dismounted first, a massive man with gray hair and a jacket covered in patches. He walked straight up to Tanya, boots crunching on snow, and stopped. For a second, silence hung between them. Then he reached out his hand. "You took care of my boys," he said. "Now we're here to take care of you." Her breath caught in her throat. Behind him, hundreds of bikers began unloading boxes. Food, blankets, heaters, tools. They started repairing her motel, fixing the shattered window, shoveling snow, even setting up generators. The once empty parking lot was now a fortress of solidarity. But as they worked, TV trucks pulled in. Cameras pointed, voices shouted questions. The same people who ignored her yesterday were now fighting for interviews, calling her the woman who united the bikers. Still, the sheriff didn't move. He stood by his car, jaw clenched, humiliated in front of the entire town. Tanya could feel the tension in the air, thick as the frost. Then one of the bikers turned to the officers. "You all done watching?" he said calmly. "Good. Now watch this." He walked to the motel's broken sign, the one locals had refused to fix for years, and raised a new one. Fresh paint, bold letters. "Miller's Haven." The crowd went silent. Tanya felt tears sting her eyes as the man stepped back, nodding to her with quiet respect. No one spoke. No one dared. What do you think was about to happen next? Would the sheriff back down, or would the town finally see the truth? Tell us in the comments before we finish the story. When the engines finally went silent, the town was forever changed. For the first time, Jackson's people saw Tanya not as a stranger, but as the woman who did what none of them had the courage to do. Open her door when it mattered most. The sheriff turned away without a word. He couldn't meet her eyes. Neither could the motel owner who had mocked her weeks earlier, now standing among the crowd, face red with shame. One by one, the townsfolk who had whispered against her began to step forward, some offering quiet apologies, others just lowering their heads. By sunset, the Hells Angels had transformed her small motel into something new. Fresh paint, repaired heaters, new sign. A story born from frost and fear had turned into a symbol of human decency, proof that kindness could ripple farther than hate ever could. When the bikers finally rode off, their engines echoed like thunder rolling toward the horizon. Tanya stood outside, Malik beside her, watching until they disappeared. Her motel looked different now, brighter, stronger, alive. But what changed most was invisible, because that day, the lines people drew, color, class, creed, had been crossed by something far greater: gratitude. In the weeks that followed, donations poured in from across the country. News outlets called her a hero, though Tanya never saw herself that way. She just saw people, cold, stranded, and in need. And somewhere out there, those same bikers carried her story on every ride, reminding others what one act of compassion can do. She didn't set out to change the world. She just refused to close her door. So the next time you see someone in need, someone everyone else turns away from, ask yourself, what kind of story would you want told about you?